In this episode, Corey Davis stops by and we teach people about reading labels.
So yes, we're talking about reading labels today. This is Supplements Coach with Dr. Robert Horovitz. And Rob, you're saying, something about labels. What about labels?
I love labels because people who want to know about supplements, whether they're coming to Supplement Coach or whether it's people that I meet, one of the frequently asked questions, of course, is what supplement should I buy? What should I look for? This and that. That's what we're sort of trying to bring clarity on, right? To try and empower people to be better, more savvy shoppers when it comes to specifically supplements in a niche. But I think learning how to read labels on food is absolutely the basic fundamentals when it comes to reading supplements, because once you start getting better at reading labels in the grocery store on common household items that you might have, that'll really play into how you'll understand your supplements later on. Supplements, herbs, so all these powders and potions that we see in health food stores. So I think sort of giving out some basics or sort of inspiring people what to look for in terms of their foods that they buy off the shelf, I think would be super valuable.
I'm with you. I love that perspective. It's almost a training ground for people to work with some of the more basic concepts. And also the fact that foods contain supplements, things like vitamins, herbal extracts, right? Stuff like that. So they're actually part of the same category of it's just food contains supplement ingredients, where supplements are just called supplements and contain supplement ingredients. So I love your logic here. So what's some basic stuff that we can kind of dig into?
A basic one, we'll start with the high value. What I would consider to be super, super high value. Like this is something, you like, if you only saw this part of the podcast, you don't want to miss out on this one thing. So top thing is cream in your coffee. This is also part of the whole debate, organic versus not. And we're not going to get into that. Well, I mean, we could get into that, but let's say for the listeners, we don't need to beat that to death. If you merely go to the grocery store and you look at the organic cream and then your conventional cream, any brand you want, US or Canada, any percentage you want, doesn't matter, 5%, 10%, 18%, or what is the fattiest one? It's like 30%, 35%, it's like whipping cream, basically. You will notice that, with the conventional stuff, it's not just cream. If you look at the organic cream on the shelf, you will read either cream or you'll say milk, cream. And then the odd time you might see vitamin A and D added to it. I don't know if that's the same thing in Canada or the US, but here in Canada, they add it in.
Typically, yes, here.
Yeah. The conventional cream, you'll see a whole bunch of other ingredients in there, which most people I think will be absolutely floored. If you go to go into your fridge right now, if you're at the office, go check it out. Go check out your cream, pull it out, read the ingredients list. You'll be absolutely floored. First of all, you'll be disappointed in yourself, as you should be, that you didn't even check the ingredients. And most people don't. So that's why I'm saying this. I'm not saying this to judge, but I'm saying I was like you. I didn't check the ingredients. I just made assumptions. Go check. You're going to see the ingredients are not milk, cream, or just cream. It'll have chemicals literally listed in your cream. It'll have mono and diglycerides, which I know you could spend a whole day on, but that's a chemical isolate that is derived from corn, usually genetically modified corn. But even still, it's really just the compound itself is highly, highly, highly processed. Some of them will contain polysorbate 80. And so the list goes on. But truthfully, the list doesn't have to go on, because even just those ingredients alone, I mean, it's not food. So I think that's one of the most fundamental lessons I could possibly give is cream. Go check your cream, and right away it's going to inspire you, I'm thinking, to look at the ingredients from now on. Mm-hmm. Other foods that come to mind are any foods that say natural on it. There's this whole craze, instead of being certified organic, people will say natural. Well, turn over the label and read the ingredients. And you're going to see more times than not, you're not just reading food ingredients the way grandma would make it. You would see all these chemicals, including one category of products, which is natural flavors. You'll see natural flavors on the ingredient list. And to me, that's really just companies insulting our intelligence, because MSG could be a natural flavor. What's natural flavor? Another common thing to look at is spices. So I'm infamous for this because I love potato chips. Potato chips are my go-to snack. Don't judge me.
My favorite potato chip ingredient. I judge you all the time, but I hope that you like the potato chips that I do that include a nice spice extract, if you will. Is that what we're talking about?
Baby, absolutely. Spices. When it says spices on there. So a lot of the conventional chips, Doritos, your rough, whatever, those common chips, I shouldn't just say Doritos. I shouldn't just throw them in a thing. Let's say, I don't even know if
even the natural ones. You get them at Trader Joe's. I don't know if you have Trader. No, you don't have Trader Joe's.
No, we don't have that here in Canada.
Okay, Costco. You get their big, bag of chips, even the salt.
Yep, a lot of them have MSG in there. But then even the ones that don't, often you'll have spices listed. So you'll have garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. So you'll have spices listed, but then you'll have another ingredient called spices. What the hell does that mean? Like, if it's a spice, why don't you just list it with the other spices? Why put in a category? That's them insulting your intelligence, my friend.
And they're exploiting a loophole. It's that companies don't want to have to put truth about the fact that this is some kind of highly processed thing when they can categorize it as spices. Why would they? Why would they want to, expose something about the nature of their processed food that doesn't seem appealing to people, right?
That's what I'm saying. They're literally spitting in our faces and asking for our money at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
So I would say those ones. And
let's back up to natural flavors. Let's look at that one. I think the same thing. I think it's, I first read about this in a book by Eric Schlosser, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Fast Food Nation. Have you read that?
No, I haven't read it. I think I might have seen is there a documentary on there? Fast Food Nation? Sounds really familiar.
There was also a Netflix, I think they made a full feature film on it. I think there is a documentary done in that same vein of understanding. But one of I read it when I was in my early 20s, but one of the cool things that he was bringing out is he showed the list of ingredients that actually go into an artificial flavor. They use strawberry flavor in this illustration that was used in McDonald's, strawberry flavored shake. And it was at least, 30 different chemical compounds in order to make this one simple ingredient. This is called artificial strawberry flavor. And, so he's talking to the food scientist, basically in this book, as far as I can recollect. And, was talking about, we have a thing called natural strawberry flavor. So what is that? Is it just an extract of strawberries? And, the food scientist said, no, it's just instead of using a petroleum derived chemical that's highly processed, we've just used soy or corn and basically put it through the exact same processing. And then we get to qualify this thing as a natural flavor. So I think that's what you're speaking to is it is disrespectful to be able to exploit this for the benefit of selling more products, ultimately, to call something a natural flavor. And you look at things like the LaCroix. I don't know if you have those waters up there, the flavored seltzer waters.
Sparkling waters, flavored waters. Yeah, so it's
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that down here that's becoming very popular, and they're coming with all these fun flavors, coconut, and tropical mango things, right? And it's all, the whole product is they're exploiting this natural flavor component in order to upsell something that would be just a more truly natural product, which is seltzer water. And they're doing extraordinarily well, but they're only doing so well probably because it doesn't list artificial flavor, which in my opinion, if it's a natural flavor, it is the exact same thing as far as the processing, the molecular makeup, and perhaps how it even acts in the body.
Taking fresh lemon juice, you're squeezing that lemon into your water. That is natural flavor. That's what people think natural flavor is. Hands down, no question. And so when they read natural flavor, the consumers, the general public literally believe that that's what it is. They don't believe that it's coming from some derivative, some chemical derivative of a natural substance that has nothing to do with lemon. And even if it was some compound found in lemon, let's say in the case of lemon flavor, or a compound found in coconut or found in mango, and you had to use chemicals to rip it out, and now you have just one chemical compound from those natural sources, does that deserve to be called natural flavors? I don't think so at all. It's not, there's nothing natural about it.
So, no, I agree. And Rob, that brings me to another interesting point, a food ingredient that I'm finding more often, especially in like the more weight loss oriented, even nutritional shakes, but a lot of processed foods are using this thing called Reb A Stevia or Stevia. Do you have a lot of that up there?
Yes, absolutely. The steviosides and as a sweetener.
Yeah, Reb A steviosides. So there's an interesting story behind that where, I don't know if you knew this, but in California, it's actually illegal because somebody made a stink about the highly processed nature of Reb A stevia versus standard stevia, that he was able to, I think it was he and his group of cohort were able to declassify that as a natural ingredient and disallowed any companies to label it as such in the state of California, which I thought was an incredible feat. And it just goes to show, like, there's no exception to Rebe Stevia. This is the same thing as any natural flavor. You've processed stevia, which is a natural botanical, so much that it becomes, arguably classifiably not natural in any kind of way, yet can make it onto a natural label, right? So that's one I'd watch out for extraordinarily. It's like the MSG of low-calorie sweeteners is how I would kind of classify that. And I try to stay away from it as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Because of what you're saying. All the chemicals that are used to make this stuff are still in the end product.
I remember in school, we did a herb walk early on in first year, and we literally picked stevia leaves off of a tree and ate them. And that was wonderful. And they are sweet. And some companies will provide with whole stevia leaf. It's just like the ground leaf. And it's amazing. It's great stuff. And it has all the benefits associated with, not having that spike in the glycemic index, and it's safe for diabetics. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. But it floats in your drink. So if you add it to your coffee, it's like putting some ground up leaves in your coffee. Right. And so people don't like that for whatever reason, or people just don't know that that's an option either way. You can buy them, but you're absolutely right. So what do is they try and isolate the stevia sides out. And in doing that, you have to use harsh chemical solvents. And there have been some negative studies associated with it. There's been some negative press associated with liver toxicity. There's not too many, and the natural health industry came back to rebuttal to say, well, those companies weren't using the same processing techniques as us, but the jury's out. Nobody really knows either way. You'd really have to call up the company. So I think the best thing to do is stay away from isolated compounds in your food, isolated chemicals as a sweetener.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough because the burden of proof rests on the companies themselves. If they're going to make an argument like that and say, this is natural, or it defies the known science because of our processing, the burden of proof then should be placed on that company to then demonstrate or prove in any way that what they're saying is true. And I think the same goes for, like what you're saying with natural flavors, is that there's new ones invented all the time, and they're put under this category in the US. And Rob, I don't know if they have that up here in Canada, called GRAS, G-R-A-S, generally regarded as safe.
As safe, yes. So
you know about
herbs,
this?
For sure. So lemon balm is generally regarded as safe. Ginger is generally regarded as safe. But yeah.
So I actually did research on GRAS to find out, like, what does this mean? Like, what kind of gravity? Like, how is this validated anyway? Is there a team of scientists at the FDA that like scour all the data and say, okay, yeah, this new ingredient just popped up is GRAS? No, you know what it is? It is, if you have a body of scientists, even if they're part of your company, that have done, let's say, 0 tests. You don't have to actually back it up with any kind of real data. As far as I've seen, it's a self-affirmed status that if you come out with a novel molecule, like let's say natural mango flavor that's made in an artificial processing way, you can submit that to the FDA as GRAS by saying, we've got 2 scientists that work for us that say this is GRAS. And they just say, okay, that's what GRAS means. It's ridiculous. And that's how the vast majority of food additives make their way into processed foods.
Unbelievable. Self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
No checks or balances at all.